All right, we're going to talk about it. Is the best thing for your golf game to go blind? Let's get into it. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. Today we're going to talk about a training aid that was sent to me. This is the Blind Strike, and it was sent from one of you followers on the channel, Gary Jones. Thank you so much for sending it in. And he said, hey, this is something that's helped me with my game and with the stuff that you talk about in your game. This might be something that's good for you. So we're going to check it out because I have seen this device online before. Just never really thought much of it or really said, hey, I have to try that. But when I get some good feedback on it, we're going to give it a go and see if it can really be something that helps you all out. But before we do that, make sure you click that subscribe button. We do have more with our Chasing Glory series coming up. Was just out doing practice rounds for the kind of final stretch of tournaments. Going to talk to you a little bit about how I prepare for events and recap kind of the first half of the summer before we got into the busy teaching season. So don't miss out on that. Hopefully it'll help you learn how to improve your game as well. All right, so we're talking about the Blind Strike Golf, okay? So what is the Blind Strike Golf? Well, it's a training aid that very simply, it's a simple training aid where you are going to have a platform, and essentially it has a piece that goes in and connects, and it really is kind of what it sounds like, right? The idea is you're going to use this device to essentially block the golf ball that you are hitting, okay? So you're going blind to the ball. So it's really a platform that helps you kind of understand how to make a swing and groove a swing and learn how to just let the golf ball get in the way of the swing. So from a mental standpoint, that is a really, really intriguing idea. Now, this device comes in a couple different forms. You can get the chipping, pitching, bunker version. You also have the putting version. So I have both of those. And let's talk first about the short game version because I really, really like this for short game. This is where I think this device really excels. So again, what you do is you're basically setting up a little platform. It has 2 holes in it for tees, so you can get the platform, the base of it, put into the ground so it's not going to fall over. You're probably going to need that. And you then have a top platform where you set a golf ball on top. There's a hole there. And so what you're doing is putting the golf ball on top of where you're swinging. And you're working on making swings where you go underneath the platform. So this has a couple of really, really interesting uses. It helps people, I think, if you struggle with going outside or cutting across the golf ball, this device actually would be really, really good for you. Now, I almost would say it would be good for a full swing type thing, but the materials are not going to allow that. If you were to hit it, you would possibly damage the club or hurt yourself. So you really want to keep it to short game shots. But I think the idea would be there where you could say, hey, if I took this into my full swing, what I'm doing here on the short game, it could really help some people that struggle with over the top or making just solid contact, things like that. So that's a really cool device. It almost reminds me of what the old Inside Approach, which used to have Jack Nicklaus on the infomercial and stuff, what that used to be. It kind of reminds me of that as a device, but this one, again, obviously made out of different materials, things like that. So it's really, really good for learning how to make a correct approach in the golf ball. The other thing I really like is it helps with one of the biggest issues I find in short game, which is no matter if it's a pitch, a chip, or even a bunker shot, you have to keep the bottom of the golf club. The bottom of the golf club has to get to the bottom of the golf ball. Okay, that's what makes it go in the air. So obviously this device with having basically a ceiling over the ball, you can't lift up or you're going to hit it. So you have to learn to make a swing where that club stays low through impact and is able to brush the bottom of the ball. That's going to send it up in the air. So I did find that extremely useful. I've tried it in a couple lessons. That's been very useful for people to see, hey, this is how this golf ball is going to get airborne. This is how we want to do it. Now, the one thing I'll say is when I'm hitting shots, if you're trying to hit too high of a shot, you got to watch where you put the ball, because actually I hit a few shots and actually clipped the ceiling a little bit, the part of the training aid that's over the ball, because that ball is taking off so fast. So you're not going to hit super flops or anything with that, but you are going to be able to get a good feel for kind of your basic pitch, and then you can work off of that. Same thing's going to go in the bunker. When you set it up on a bunker shot, you set it up the same way. You are going to be able to feel how to keep that club low. This has actually been really helpful for me. You'll see in the Chasing Glory series that I'm struggling a little bit from bunkers. So this was actually perfect because I'm good at like high soft ones, and that's because I cut across them more. But when I had any bunker shot of distance, I was struggling because I was swinging a little bit, too across it, not putting enough force on the ball. So this helped me get a more round feel, and I was able to actually hit some lower, more driving bunker shots, which is going to cover more distance. So it's actually been really good for me working on that kind of area of my game that I was kind of struggling with. So I do like it for that as well. Now, the way you use the device, big thing is you're just going to make some strokes first. You put the ball on the top. Now, it does come with a little bit of a protocol that you can do. Essentially, you're going to make some swings, then you're going to put a ball on the top, make some swings just feeling like you're brushing with the ball there, but you're not hitting it. Then you can actually put the golf ball underneath the blind ball, so like you're not going to be able to see the ball you're hitting, but you are hitting a golf ball. And again, the idea is just make some strokes and just not worry about hitting the golf ball. Worry about the ball just getting in the way. So it really works well. That's the whole premise I see from what we're looking at. And so it's a really cool idea. And I do think it's really going to help people that get a little stabby at things and like, oh, I'm going to hit it. And they're jumpy, and that causes them to have some issues with how they make contact. So it's really good for that. And then obviously you would just take off the blind ball and just try some shots and then try it away from the training aid, see how well you do. It works really good for that. Now, the part that really surprised me and I wasn't expecting going into this was there's actually a putting part to this. Now, the putting platform is much bigger. There's a reason for that. It has 3 holes on the top, not just one like the short game version. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, you have a few different drills that you can do. You can do some drills that help you even out the stroke. You can put golf balls on both sides. Try hitting the ball on the one end, hit the other ball on the end. You can have the ball on the top, just work on making your stroke. There's a bunch of different things you can do, but the part that really surprised me is the putting platform actually has a little tiny curve to it, and that is so you can actually trace that with your putter, and you're able to get a feel for a pretty good stroke. So I like that, especially for people that are really new and you kind of want to have an idea of what a putting stroke's supposed to feel like. That's going to be really good. I like tracing with people for a little bit when they're trying to trace a stroke, but it's not something I use all the time, but it's a good starting point for people to start getting a feel for things. Now, the couple of drawbacks that I see from the aid, everything has a drawback. On the short game side, I think the biggest drawback is I really like the device, but you still might need a little bit of guidance on how to make the stroke, okay? You might need the guidance. I still find that I can do a bunch of different methods, which I guess could be a good thing too, but a bunch of different methods will still let you swing underneath the training aid. Now, there's certain ways that I like to use my short game. Those work. But again, if I do some of the ways that I don't like to do short game, those still work. So you might need a little guidance on how the best method to move the club is, but this is great feedback to make sure you're going to make good contact while you are doing that method. Now, the putting part, I really like that as well. I mentioned the tracing aspect of the stroke. I am not a major tracer. There's different aids that have tracing capabilities like a putting arc, something like that. I think those are good for people that don't really have an idea about what a putting stroke is. But once you do that, you have to really take that away and you have to learn how to move the putter yourself. You become a little too reliant on tracing the stroke and you don't know how to move the putter. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. The other thing with the putting is, one of the biggest things I worry about is start line and aim, and so it's hard to aim it when you have that ball and the putter covered up. That's a little bit difficult to do, and you don't really know if you're starting the ball on line per se. It's just a little bit tough to get that part dialed in. You really got to kind of mess with it and get it lined up how you want. But again, do I think there's a lot of value in this for, again, your recreational players or people that don't really study how the stroke's supposed to work? Absolutely. I think this would be a fantastic indoor aid for people to use in the winter, get something moving along. Do this in the winter with your short game, get some strokes in. You can get a lot of feedback just swinging without even hitting a ball, or if you're hitting foam golf balls, you can do that and you really get a feel for how things are going to work. So is it a great aid? Absolutely, I love it. I think there's great uses. I love when aids give people some insight into how this actually works. I think too many people are focused on, oh, do this, do this, do this with my swing, etc. And what they aren't focused on is how does the club interacting with the ball actually work? How does this actually happen? Because when people learn that stuff, they find that, hey, their motion becomes better because that's how a golf swing was started. People learned how to make the ball do certain things, and then swings started taking shape. We've kind of gone the opposite direction, which I think hurts a lot of people in the long run. But this device will get you on track with understanding, all right, this is how the club needs to come into the ball. This is how the putter needs to come into the ball. Those things are valuable. They really make people better. And so when they does that in a training aid, I'm all for it. So again, thank you to Gary for sending it over. I'm really excited to actually keep using it. It's gone in the teaching shed. One other thing is it's pretty heavy, so it's not something I would carry in the bag all the time. You definitely want to know that you're going to be using it. So it's not like, let's say, my Gravity Fit, which stays in my bag all the time because it's very light. This is a much bulkier aid, so keep that in mind. You're going to need to have a way to get it to the course or where you're going to keep it, all that stuff. But anyway, I will link it down below. No affiliation with them, anything like that. Just a gift from one of you on the subscribers, and thank you again for that. If you have any questions about it, please leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the Chasing Glory series. That is coming up very soon. I've been teasing it for a while. We are almost there, so can't wait to get back out playing some tournaments and getting better. So we'll see you then. Thanks everybody for watching. Peace.